and the recording is starting right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to SchreckTeck. This is episode, I think it's 74.
I know, I was going to say, I have totally lost count.
It's one of those. It's 70-something. We're getting old.
Getting old.
Anyway, and joining us, as always, is the perpetrator of the Schreck. There's Gina Schreck. Hey, Gina, how are you?
I'm back home. I'm back from my world travels, and...
You're not in Kansas anymore.
No, I'm not in Kansas anymore. And, yeah, it's great to be back in Colorado, where it's 75 degrees today, and it'll snow on Thursday. So, beautiful Colorado. Love it.
That sounds great.
And, yeah. And so, Rick, being on the road, there's always so much to read and so much to catch up on. I feel like I've been out of the loop, even though we've had our show going, but I just feel out of the loop. But I'm excited because today's kind of one of those topics that I get passionate about. And, so whenever we have topics around around anything to do with e-learning, you notice I kind of sit back, I'm a little more quiet. And this time, Rick, let's see if you can get 2 words in. That'll be the goal today. Because I am excited that our guest today, Allie Goldfield. Now, I have to tell you how I met Allie, because I'm always reading other blogs, always reading things that are interesting, and found a blog post written by Allie Goldfield. And it was talking about expectations of small businesses and social media. And it just completely just clicked and resonated with me, because it was a message that I'm always preaching to our clients. And Allie is a freelance writer. She's a blogger. She's obviously a social media enthusiast. She manages social media for clients. But most importantly, Rick and I immediately caught on that she loves chocolate. So, Allie, we knew we could be longtime friends.
There you go.
Yeah, but Allie, welcome to SchreckTeck.
Thank you.
And
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's very fun. And I do have to find out about Therapy Stew, which is another one of your businesses. And your social media company is ADR. What does ADR stand for?
Actually, it's me, Allie, and my 2 girls, Diana and Rachel. my eldest, Diana, came up with the name.
I love it. ADR social media.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny how our kids help us brand.
They do.
My 16-year-old's helping me pick out logos. We're going through a whole rebranding first of the year, and she's been helping me pick out logo designs that we're having worked on. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, welcome. And how often are you guest blogging places and blogging for? Because I saw your blog. Was it on social media?
It was on Social Media Today. Yep, I'm a featured contributor to Social Media Today. So as often as I can, it's hard because you try and blog for your clients, and then you blog for, you got to go where the money is sometimes, right? And some things fall to the wayside, but as much as I can in a lot of different places.
That's awesome. Well, it was a great post, and it really did spark this whole concept of social media expectations. And typically, and I say typically because I've noticed some large companies have the same expectations that are a little off. They don't start out on the right track. But typically, small businesses struggle with this more.
Yes.
Do you find that to be true?
I definitely do, and mainly it's the manpower, right? When the businesses that I work for are small businesses, so maybe 5 employees, 10 employees. So to hire someone to be dedicated solely for social media isn't really in the budget. So, talking about having realistic expectations, that's the first thing that you need to talk about. It's time, it's money, it's time away from what they're supposed to be doing. So it can get really tricky to sort of walk that line.
Right. And it is one of those things that I think, we were joking about this before we went live, of most people think if I launch a Facebook page, the next day, customers will walk in my door.
Well, that's right, because people get really excited. They hear, there's now 1 billion people on Facebook, so if I post something, everyone in the entire 1 billion, population is going to see it, and they're all going to come to my store. And unfortunately, not really going to happen.
Not really good. And I think it's another thing that's interesting is I've noticed, and we've done a couple new business launches for clients, that they wait too long. They wait until they're about to open their doors to start marketing. And, they don't understand the concept that it takes 6 months to a year to build a big enough community that they can start taking action on your messages.
Absolutely. So, we talked a little bit before about having realistic expectations, and I think with small businesses, that's always the first place that I start, is trying to help them set realistic expectations. It's not going to be overnight, probably not even in the first 6 months. The Google sandbox will also, that's a whole other story, but it takes time to build a readership. It takes time to build an audience. It takes time to get found on Google.
Right. Yeah, and it takes consistency, which is another thing that I see a mistake in small businesses, especially because they're so tapped out for resources. They think, well, if I post once a week, put something up there, that should be good enough. And it's like you have to be consistent, you have to be frequent, you have to be present, and it's hard. It's the reality is that's very challenging.
Well, we were talking a little bit in the pre-show about, I got my 2 words in. Anyway, we were talking in the in the pre-show about people expecting things to go viral, and you get things like make this viral, which really doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work at all. I mean, really, in my opinion, going viral, a lot of times it's a fluke. You never know what's going to sort of catch a person's fancy and, want them to share it, wanting to share with their friends. It's sometimes it's just off the cuff.
Right. And the beauty about going viral is usually it's organic, it's natural. And there's so many marketing companies trying to fake it.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the only time it really matters is if it's organic. If it's, paid, going viral through paid means, it doesn't really mean anything.
It's an ad. It's just an ad at that point.
Speaking of paid, we had a client come to us, and we were just helping them. Their business had been open for about a year, but she came to us and wanted to engage our services to manage their daily, their regular social media marketing. And she had also just hired someone to do some mobile marketing strategies with her. The mobile marketing guy had come to her and said, I can get you 50,000 Twitter followers, which I just think is funny because if you went from 100 Twitter followers to 50,100 Twitter followers, that is not right. But anyway, she wanted me to talk to this guy because she thought that could really help their image, that they would be seen as having all these Twitter followers. And I said, here's the thing. They're either going to be 50,000 spam accounts, and then all of a sudden your direct message column and everything else is just filled with spam, or they're empty accounts. And these empty accounts they're not real. These aren't people who will ever come in your store and spend money here. Do you find are you getting that same type of request from small businesses or those questions?
I definitely do, especially with the storefronts. I work with a dance studio here in Ottawa, and really it's a very, very local market. It doesn't really matter if they have 10,000 followers. What matters is the 300 followers that are actually going to frequent the dance studio. So I work with clients a lot and try and advise them that it's not about followers, it's not about fans, it's about reaching the people that you need to reach to grow your business. And maybe that's only 300 people. Maybe you have the kind of business where social media can work that particular way. It doesn't need to be 100,000 followers, 50,000 followers.
Right. Yeah, it's about maybe running some targeted specials on Foursquare or using Facebook deals and things to get people to come in the door, not numbers.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's different tools.
And it's interesting
go ahead.
I was going to say, it's interesting that you brought up Foursquare because it is, at least I find in Ottawa, which is a conservative town, using Foursquare can be so powerful because, that's what the deals on Foursquare, getting people into your store, that's what's important. Sometimes more important than Twitter, more important than Facebook, looking at the numbers. it's targeting who you need to target to get more customers.
You're right. And it's, again, I always say, what is our ultimate goal? It's getting them in the door. If you're a storefront, if you're a restaurant, if you're a hotel.
Right.
Otherwise, some of our clients say, no, my goal is brand awareness. I want people to know of, I'm a thought leader in this industry. But it depends on what your business is. If you have a consulting business, okay, then numbers might matter, but real numbers, again, of people who can talk about you, spread that word. Yeah. Now, do you find that the challenge of these unrealistic expectations comes from either, I guess it's probably just more lack of education around that, or is it lack of a plan?
I think it's a lack of understanding of, people hear social media. I'm using social media. But social media, I think the first thing that small businesses need to understand is it's really only one arm of a whole marketing process. Right. You can't stop all paper advertising. However you advertised in the past, paper advertising, word of mouth. Social media should be incorporated into your marketing strategy, but it can't be your only marketing strategy. So I think once clients start to understand that, not, okay, I'm going on social media, I don't have to do anything else, social media is free, so I don't have to spend any money. I think those unrealistic expectations come up a lot. Also, time, the length of time, that's part of having patience. You talked about before being consistent, being present. Your audience has to know where to rely on you and how often you're going to be there, and that's really important as well.
Which for a small business, that is a big struggle because you can't be online. Obviously, we manage social media, you and I, 4 different accounts, so we're online for them many times.
Yes.
But for a small business owner who's running whether it's a consulting business, whether it's an ice cream shop, what advice can you give small businesses on managing the time? Because they read something that says 15 minutes a day, and you can do all your social media.
I actually think, and I do teach clients, if it depends what they want to do. Again, it depends what their goals are, but you really can do it in about 15 minutes a day if you're focused and if you're targeted. So don't be on 6 social media platforms. Be on the 2 most important ones for your business. I work with a smartphone. It's wherever I am. So doing things, if you're waiting in the car to pick up your kids, you can send a tweet. It doesn't take that long. And again, it's not necessarily about quantity, it's also about quality. So if you find you can only, fit into your schedule 15, 20 minutes a day, make those 15 and 20 or 20 minutes count. Don't just post random things that are not going to really, get the message out that you want out there. You have to be very targeted and disciplined too. Turn the phone off after 15 minutes because other things aren't going to get done. Do it late at night. Social media doesn't sleep. So, doing it early in the morning or late at night doesn't really matter.
Right. And I loved when you said, having your smartphone, your tablets, whatever mobile device you have, it is those little moments in between. Now, I don't mean like little moments at a stoplight.
No. Of course not.
Yeah. But, we have a lot of those little sliver moments of waiting time, whether it's before an appointment, whether it's, 15 minutes here and there, that we can reply to people so that we are more present more often without having to wait until I go back to my desk, log in, do all that I have to do.
That's right. So one of the first things is to get people, I think we're all going mobile anyways. I think that's just the direction our society is taking. So people say, I don't want to be hooked into my phone all the time. Well, then don't be. Again, that's discipline. You have to set limits. This is what I'm comfortable doing. This is what I'm not comfortable doing. That's okay. You can work within whatever your comfort zone is as long as you know what your expectations are. You can't expect to have, this huge following if you're only willing to do this amount of work. So it's just reconciling the two.
It's always, that whole thing of ROI. It's what is the return? Well, what are you willing to invest? So it's, and they're typically very even. If you're willing to invest time, energy, you're going to have a higher return. Less investment, less return. It's going to balance. It's interesting. You said the mobile, One thing that was so frustrating, our team, we have iPads and we'll work from iPads typically after we've loaded content, then we manage the on-the-go pieces via iPad. But there was one frustrating piece that we could never load a photo to Facebook on our iPad, even through their app, whether it was through going through the browser. And until this weekend, we discovered the iOS 6 update for all of you iPad users out there. It was like a hallelujah moment. Somehow, through the iOS update, now you can upload a photo. I don't know if you are an iPad user or noticed that, but we were singing.
I'm not an iPad user. I'm an iPhone user right now, but that's one thing that I found the most frustrating. And a couple of, you talked about apps, a couple of things that help are, now you can use Buffer with Facebook, so you can schedule posts, which I find sometimes is just a godsend. Same with, timely scheduling tweets, because that's also very important. And, you talked about the social media small business person managing that. That's another way to manage it too. Take 15 minutes, schedule, 5 tweets. Now, when I say there's a difference, I think, between schedule and automated.
Right.
Scheduling means you still insert your personality into the tweet and have it, how you want it. Automated, I don't like it all.
I don't either. And I'm totally for scheduling. We always say in the morning you sit down, you may have 10 great nuggets that you want to share. You don't dump all 10 right now. Right. You can schedule those so that it's spread throughout the day. On Facebook, now we use Hootsuite, so we schedule using Hootsuite in Facebook and LinkedIn and in Twitter. And then throughout the day, you're present to respond and again, you can do that on the go. You can do that in short little bursts of time, not an hour.
Now, what do you folks think about the auto responders? When somebody follows you, you get an automatic response. I find it usually disingenuous, but what do you guys think?
I hate them. I barely even read them. I just, it's like an automatic delete for me.
Yeah, and what's sad to me is I rarely look at my direct message column because it's usually packed with those, I call them spammy messages.
That's why she never answers me.
That's why I never answer you. I'm like, I thought it was a spam. No, but what's funny is people think, well, at least it's letting people know about my business. No, it's setting you up immediately with a negative feeling from that person because that was sent out automatically when I followed you. Instead, why not look at my profile? If you want to connect, why not say something interesting like I really like your bio, or retweet something that I tweeted. Yeah. So to me, that's so much more effective than an auto response.
And I totally agree, Gina, because that's what I tend to do. I mean, I try to, but I don't necessarily follow everyone that follows me. But if something, piques my curiosity, I will either retweet something, notice where they're from, how's the weather in Colorado, thank them for following. But at least it offers that personal touch. And when people do that to me, I'm way more likely to respond to them as well, as opposed to the automatic message, which I tend not to read.
Right. Yeah, it's very true. And it's interesting because in the chat room, it's interesting that Leva is in the chat room and she is from Belgium. And her comment is, it is hard when you have followers in different time zones as well. And that is a challenge because you can look at that and go, okay, I can schedule things. And I follow some people that I can tell. I know that they either live in Australia, they live somewhere else, different time zone, but they tweet 24 hours, 24/7 to make sure that there's that consistent coverage. So you do have to find that sweet spot with your business and the type of people, because there is something to that immediate response. When you say good morning and they reply, are you able to get back to them?
Yeah.
With something, or are you said good morning in my time zone, but then you're really sleeping, so there's it's tough for some. It's finding again that that sweet spot.
Yeah.
And Jeff brings up a great point is the consistency is important because you're so easily forgotten, which is sad in social media because there's so much noise.
Yes.
You've got to make sure that you've got that passive.
But have you ever noticed something that when you're on social media, let's say you're on TweetDeck or any of the Twitter clients, have you ever noticed that you seem to look at the tweet you need to look at?
Yeah. And that's what it's about, Rick. It's about that targeted audience. If someone's talking to you, not just talking at you and sort of saying something for the sake of saying something, but really talking to you, wanting, asking a question, wanting an answer. It's much more, I think that within a 24-hour period, that's what I usually tell clients. Within a 24-hour period, if you can respond to that, most people are respectful of that.
Right. That's true.
No, but what I find really interesting is you can have, let's say you have 1,000 followers. That's a lot of people to really keep track of. And yet every so often you glance and you go, oh, there's a tweet from that one person, and it's the ones that you really like or know, and it's amazing how they just happen to pop up right when you're looking. I just find that interesting.
That's true. Yeah. True. And it is about engaging and building those relationships that then you maintain those relationships, especially for a business. Now, Allie, are you finding or are you recommending any specific tools, social tools for your clients? I mean, I'm always talking about video and the use of video. Yeah. And finding creative ways. I've been playing with Tout. I don't know if you're familiar with Tout, but it's a 15-second video burst, and you can share that on your social channels. And any that you recommend or that you've been talking about and looking at?
Again, the clients that I work with tend to be very low tech. So when you talk to them about video, they get really scared. Like, oh no, like I can't make a video. Da da da. Most of the technology that I encourage them to use is with the smartphone. The apps that I find the most effective are the simple ones. I like the Twitter app. I like to be able to tweet on the go. I like the WordPress, WordPress.com, because then I can check my blogs, whatever blogs I need to check. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so if I see something that's not right, I can change it right then. Using other tools like Hootsuite, I think that just gets into a place where they don't want to go. So that's something that I would use. Right.
You're right. That's a little more technical.
And I just started using Hootsuite, and there is a learning curve. It's not, some of it's apparent, some of it isn't.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I remember the first time I checked out Hootsuite, I thought it was too complicated. I didn't like the whole tab. And this was early on, and I went to TweetDeck and loved TweetDeck. And then when we started building this team, I thought I need a tool that all of us can use, and it's definitely more complex, but can do so much more. But it took me a while to learn. So Hootsuite, and they have Hootsuite University. They have all these videos that you can go through, like 40 different videos that you can go through that each one covers something different. And those are really helpful if you're going to use a tool like Hootsuite to invest that time to learn all the features. But yeah, some of the tools, I'm trying to encourage some of our clients. A short, we have an image consultant, for example, and her business. And I said, your business is prime for short video. Once a week, give me a tip via video. And she's got a great presence about her. And that way, she wants to do more speaking to corporate accounts. And, so looking at the strategy and looking at some of those tools. Instagram, again, is a really easy one for people to take their smartphone, snap a picture of what's going on in their business, and share that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love pictures. And I just keep saying pictures and video. Some do not lend themselves to video. But although, it's funny, I took my iPad, went out to one of the Hyatt locations, and we got the chef, pulled him aside in the kitchen, and I think we did 4 different videos, but they were 30 seconds. Yeah. And it was a tip from the chef. And they were so great. And those got passed around. Those became viral for them because they were just really helpful tips, and they were in the kitchen, and it was kind of cute.
Which wasn't all about selling the Hyatt. It was about something that people would want to see, and that would bring them there. And then in the back of their mind, oh yeah, this was done by the chef at the Hyatt. So that's what I find too with a lot of these businesses. They get really, really scared about sharing their competitors' information, sharing their competitors' content. I have one client, it's taken forever. Like, there's such parameters on what you can and can't share because they don't want any competition, they don't want any this, any that, not realizing that social media is really that. It's social. It's about sharing. It's about, providing content that your audience is going to find interesting.
And it's interesting because if you think about it, the best retail places are the ones that say, you know what, if somebody walks into the store, say, we don't have that, but if you go next door, they probably do. Right. And then people are going to remember you for that. Too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting because we have a couple clients, same thing. They really are cautious of, don't share from this person's blog or don't share articles that came from that website because it might be seen as a competitor. And I say, gosh, you know what though? You're the resource that people are coming to.
Yeah.
That you keep bringing all these great tips to them. You're seen as the helpful resource. So yeah, it's hard to get beyond that. And social media has definitely changed that landscape that we have to get out of. I said, gosh, if I didn't share my competitors' information, I wouldn't have a whole lot of information that I was putting out because I still have that kind of time. I said, it is about sharing content, and it is about bringing the best to your audience that from your filter. What I share might be very different from what you might share because you're looking at it through a different filter. So we have to get out of that mindset of kind of that, scarcity mentality. There's so much business typically if we share and we get out there. Social media can really build. How about PR for you? Are you finding small businesses still using PR agencies? Has that changed in your markets?
Again, because the businesses that I work with are so small, I don't think that there's a lot of, thought that even goes into sort of that PR marketing strategy. It's more, I just want people to know where I am. I'm not really sure where to start. I'm going to start with social media, and going from there.
Right. Yeah, that is interesting because I've found, and we've done some PR. Well, we have kind of two arms of that. We actually follow that Help a Reporter Out, HARO, and that's been great because we're always looking for how can we get our clients in front of different media sources. That's a really smart way of just scanning those for them and filtering because it's overwhelming how many entries there are. But then, some clients want us to send out PR blasts, and I said, I think that whole piece has changed so much that in PR, if you're not an agency that solely builds relationships with PR firms and media, or a PR firm that builds relationships with the media outlets, you're probably not going to get picked up by their stories unless it's really newsworthy.
That's right.
I look at it and go, gosh, you're better off building the relationships using social media tools because you can build a relationship with a media outlet. Conversations.
And I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's building a relationship. That's, in essence, is what social media is about. Whether it's with your competitors, whether it's with your audience, whether it's with, people in Australia, you have to build that relationship because that keeps the conversation going, and that in itself will keep your business in your audience's mind. It's building relationships.
Yeah.
Now, before we continue, Allie, you've got another website called therapystew.com.
I do.
What is that one?
In my past life, although I still do a little bit today, I'm actually a psychologist. So I have a small private practice as well, and I write for Therapy Stew because I know that there's, it actually started when a current client of mine moved well out of the traveling range. And so, doing a little bit of counseling via Skype, and then, just there's so much information and misinformation out there that I started this website, Therapy Stew, which is full of articles about, and it's not just myself writing for it, it's other contributors as well, parenting, attachment, communication, relationships, depression, eating disorders, sort of all those types of mental health issues on one site.
Really cool. So if social media drives you crazy, you feel like you're losing it, then you can jump over and get some tips from Therapy Stew.
Absolutely.
I know, I love that. So do you have any favorite apps that you use, that you love, kind of your go-to apps?
Really, honestly, anything that I can use on my smartphone. I like the Facebook the Pages for Facebook one. I like the Twitter app. Like I said, I like the WordPress app. I honestly think I try and think like my clients, so I don't try and go so fancy that, I can talk over their heads. I want to use what they can use. I want to know the ins and outs of the apps that they are going to find helpful, where there's not a huge learning curve, where they can do things on the go. I'm a small business myself, so I really have to think like a small business, just the same way that my clients do. That's
true. And it's interesting because one of the questions I had, the conference I spoke at this weekend, they were asking me about YouTube, and they were small businesses, and they were saying, you can't watch YouTube after iOS 6. Couldn't watch YouTube videos. Their YouTube app no longer worked. And I thought, okay, I guess I hadn't noticed that. And I usually go maybe I've been on my desktop or my laptop a lot more, but I did discover there is a new app called Video. Or no, not Video, Uplayer. Uplayer is the new app for iOS 6 upgrade. So
see, I have yet to upgrade my iPhone because I hear all these negative things. So I'm like, I still want my Google Maps. I still want my, so I have not upgraded yet.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's like you got to wait till they fix all these little bugs and they
Exactly
what's going on. Well, that was.
But Uplayer, I think, is a third-party player. There's about 4 or 5 of them, ranging from pretty bad to so bad.
So bad.
It's just they're not great. They're okay. I don't know why Steve Jobs has not sent a lightning bolt down at them for what they're doing, but there's some really stupid things that they did with iOS 6, including, here, I'll put it up on the screen. This is my biggest irritation. I've passed this by a couple of very well-known graphic artists, and they all said, fail. And that's this little screen right here. Here, let me zoom in here. This is the dial pad for the new iOS 6. It's white with gray numbers. You go outside, you can't see it. It's idiotic. It just makes no sense. And
What was it before?
it was dark, kind of like a grayish with white numbers that were really sharp. You could go outside and see it. This one is hard to see even indoors because you got to really there's no contrast.
That's
And again, not a smart thing. And as I said, I know some really high-end graphic designers, and they all went and fail.
Well, Rick, you realize the developers that create this, they sit in dark rooms.
That's
all
true. They
day.
do. They do. Most of them do work in the dark. In more ways than one.
Maybe that's why. Yeah, there were some, and I upgraded, and there have been some really great upgrades
Right.
to iOS 6 that I found that I really like. But one thing that was one of those fail things is suddenly the video players weren't working, and Hootsuite actually had some problems that they had to pull Hootsuite down, and for a few days before they put it back in the marketplace because the iOS 6 update
Right. That's true.
backed some things out.
And
But-
videos don't quite look nice on it either because, well, if you get the new iPhone, because they stretched it.
yeah.
So now your video loses its aspect ratio, or they stretch it out. It just doesn't look as good. I actually went to the Apple Store and played with the new iPhone 5. You know what? I think I'm going to go get a Samsung. And I've had 4 iPhones. I had one Android, which I hated, which was the Bionic, and it wasn't a very good phone. And now I'm looking. I went to see the Samsung the other day, and I go, it's bigger. It's
Rick, it's a magical device.
it's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad at all. That's one you have. You have the 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might get the Note. The Samsung Note is
Now,
really
the
nice.
Note
It's
is a
big.
little bigger, right?
It's
bigger.
5. Yeah, it's 5.5 inches, I think.
Yeah.
It's almost like a mini tablet.
Okay,
But-
so would you get a mini tablet, the new mini
No,
iPad?
I don't need a mini iPad. I already have. I have one iPad. I have a Fire. I might get a new Kindle Fire. I don't need another iPad. The mini is the form factor is okay, but I don't know if I want another mini.
Tablet.
Yeah, and I'd rather get that Note phone. I don't use my phone for that many things. And
I still use it for talking.
yeah, I use it for talking, a little bit of texting, not very much, and some apps, not very many apps. Even though I have about 200 apps on my phone.
Which again, looking at that whole concept, we do so much on our phones today that for a small business, if they're looking at one power tool, if they don't have a smartphone, I think that is the number one
That's
power
right.
tool for a small business owner to have.
Yeah. So absolutely. If they're starting any kind of social media project at all, they need to have a smartphone. You just do because, if not, you're chained to your desk. And
Right.
sometimes in a small business, you really can't be. You got to be out in the store or out meeting clients or, traveling or whatever you're doing, and you can't be chained to your desk all the time. You need to have a smartphone.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, Gina, we've got about 5 more minutes on the show. Any comments from the chat room?
Yeah, they're chatting about definitely Hootsuite. That's kind of the tool that most people, if you're managing your own social media and have all these different platforms, to the tool to go. Which, by the way, Hootsuite also you can you have to add it as an app, but you can add Instagram so that when you load your photos via Instagram, because someone asked me yesterday, how come I can't load Instagram photos from my desktop? And it's because it's truly a mobile app. The intent is to take pictures from your phone, upload them from your phone or your tablets, and they load up through Instagram there. But then on TweetDeck, you can pull up your Instagram feed and monitor, again, comments, questions. You can do searches for your business name. If a customers come in and tag your business, you can actually see those in there. So but then also in the chat room, the talk of iPad. And actually, that is interesting, Jeff, that since you got your iPad, you're using your phone solely as a phone.
Same here.
Yeah, depending on but my phone I always have on me. It's always in my pocket or in my purse. Yeah. So, yeah, I think
now the announcement's today. Isn't it today at 10 o'clock?
At 10 o'clock, the iPad mini announcement.
Well, we don't know. That's what the rumor is.
That's what the rumor is. Well, yeah, the worst kept secret, I think they're calling
it. Maybe they're doing away with the new operating system.
Yeah, who knows?
Sorry. iOS 7 is already here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe the announcement today is that they're going with Android. Wow, that would be interesting.
Oh, that would be Google Maps are back. And then we wake up and we go, oh, wait a minute, is it only Monday? Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm always wanting whatever. I want an iPad mini just so I can play with it and see what it is, but
it's going to be just the same as an iPad Maxi. So what's it going to be? A Maxi pad and a mini pad? That doesn't sound right.
I want an iPad mini with wings.
There you go.
Why are they naming these things feminine products?
Something's wrong there.
Oh, I was going to go another direction just now, but I'm glad. Oh, gosh. Well, Allie, you are just a treat, a gem to talk to. And follow Allie on Twitter at Allie Goldfield.
Yeah, that's right.
Websites. Rick has been showing your websites, both therapystew.com and ADR, social media. So, and I look forward to just continuing to follow your tweets and your blog and just great stuff you're doing.
Thank you very much. It was really nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. And for all you guys in the chat room, thanks for being there as always. And if you're watching the show on YouTube, please subscribe. We always like to see people subscribing.
And pass it around. Share it.
Share
Give
it.
A Christmas gift.
The whole joy of social media. Just share.
Exactly. Share. So, thank you so much.
Goodbye, everyone.
I was like, oh, there was an awkward pause. Going, wait, did Rick turn this up?